Goes against your 11 SP armor jack that now counts as 8 or 6. That 6 will, be the damage that stops, but then 2 damage gets through, and your armor ablates. Melee weapons, where they lack the range capabilities, they do great in shredding armor. Now, it's not quite like an armor-piercing weapon, so to speak, but melee weapons do provide that capability of being able to ignore half armor. On top of that, there's a whole variety of different melee weapons out there. Light melee weapons have the ability to, despite having a very small amount of damage, be able to be loaded with things like poison and biotoxin. You load that up with a few little nice things and really ruin someone's day. Sure, you don't do a lot of damage up front, but say you stab a booster ganger with a knife that's got biotoxin loaded on it, okay? You stab that booster ganger, and then suddenly that booster ganger takes, let's see, half of a leather jacket is 2 SP, because most booster gangers have 4 SP. So you roll your d6, you bypass 2 SP, but then outside that, they gotta roll resist drugs and torture and possibly suffer direct damage straight to the body. That's the upside with light melee weapons. Next thing on the list is with very heavy melee weapons. Very heavy melee weapons do 4d6 damage. They are rate of fire 1 compared to all of their other counterparts. Now you might be wondering, well, Dia, why would I get a very heavy melee weapon when I can do, get a heavy melee weapon and just do 3d6, doing 66 per round? Very heavy melee weapons have this very special thing of 4d6. 4d6 means you have a better chance for a tarot crit on top of all other things. But if you get really, really good at using the melee weapon skill, headshot central. Headshot after headshot after headshot. And remember, you ignore half SP. So, say alone here, we got somebody using a very heavy melee weapon that's 4d6. And they deal, let's say, 14 damage versus someone's Kevlar helmet. That is not 7 damage going through. That is going to be instead, if we round up, that's going to be 10 damage going through. Alright? You smack someone across the head with your very heavy melee weapon for 14 damage, and they have Kevlar. 4 damage gets stopped, and then on top of all that, that 10 damage that gets through gets doubled to 20. You do 20 damage in a hit, and that, my friends, is where the payout is when it comes to very heavy melee weapons. They are great for aimed shots once you get really, really good at it. And of course, they do have excellent quality varieties. And also there are other special weapons out there that, you gotta pay a little bit of an extra premium for, that, after your armor hits a certain SP, it just doesn't care about your armor. Oh, you're wearing Kevlar? Well, my sword does not care that you have 7 SP. That 15 damage I rolled goes straight to you. That's the kind of power that melee weapons offer, is the ability to bypass half armor and do so consistently. They do hand out some fantastic damage, and on top of that, you don't have to spend so many points into your body if you don't want to do a high body score in order to do decent melee damage. Now, brawling and martial arts, on the other hand, those two have a special place in the hearts of many, many edge runners at the table. Now, we are we're going into 4 years of Cyberpunk Red, 5 if you include the Jumpstart kit. The thing that I've noticed is kind of a very strong meta in the world of Cyberpunk Red is linear frame martial arts or linear frame brawling, linear frame, and any hand-to-hand combat. It has proven itself to be a very powerful and very effective way to get 4d6 at rate of fire 2. Because what's special about brawling and martial arts is it's always rate of fire 2. Unless you're using special maneuvers that martial arts offers. So, where's the catch? You have to invest a lot of points into your body score. To understand, you can only start off with body 8, which offers you 3d6 damage. You'll have to get a linear frame to get up to 4d6 damage a round. But what this means is if you are already going down that route, you're going to be handing out a lot of punishment. And when you are brawling, you do not ignore half of the defender's damage. However, brawling has its own perks. Brawling has the grab action. Unlike martial arts, brawling, this is where you grab. And you roll against their brawling, and you can take control of the grapple. Also, alongside that, you could snatch something out of someone's hand with the grab action. So, say that guard is getting a little too carried away with that shotgun. You roll a brawling check, and then suddenly now you have a shotgun to throw elsewhere, or even, I guess, use as an improvised melee weapon, which, I guess that's 2d6 damage if you smack someone with the butt of a shotgun. It'll hurt. One other thing that brawlers can do is when they have grappled somebody, they can start choking that person. And of course, linear frame does come in handy for this one, because when you choke someone, it ignores armor, it goes straight to the body. So you get a hold of, let's say for example, you get a hold of a booster ganger. Booster gangers, they tend to have about 20 hit points. And you have body 8, okay? You pass the grapple, you get a hold of them, and then you go and you use the choke action. You take that 20 and you turn that 20 into 12 hit points. Very quickly. You almost get them to seriously wounded. And if you hang on to somebody for 3 successive rounds in a choke, they go unconscious, regardless of their hit point total. They just go night-night. Then finally with brawling, you have the throw action. It's not really much more than just you actively choose to throw the opponent, and that is going to just be a your body stat directly to their hit points. It does ignore their armor. So say with that person that you were with that booster ganger you had grappled. Let's say you have 8 hit points. You grappled them you have 8 body points. You grappled them, you choked them for 8 points, and then you decide to slam them onto the ground with that throw. Because you throw them directly onto the ground, and they are prone, and they take a -2 to all actions while they are prone. And on top of that, they take another 8 damage direct. So you've done 16 damage to someone with 20 hit points. They are likely going to leave after you've done that to them. Now, one of the other things that brawlers can do, and this is going to be more with your athletics than it's going to be with your dex, or with your brawling. But with brawlers, dex is already going to be an important score. Athletics, you could throw something up to 25 meters away. And melee weapons, unless they are noted otherwise, don't, or like thrown melee weapons, unless it's specifically noted, don't half SP, or don't ignore half SP. They just, take the full SP as is. And same with grenades. You can throw them up to 25 meters, and you just use your athletics score. So brawlers, like if you want to go for a throwing and grappling build, brawling is a great setup to do so. And then finally, we have martial arts. Martial arts is, in a sense, going to be set to do the same amount of damage. Where, to understand, if you're at like body 4 or under, you're doing 1d6. 5 to 6 is 2d6. However, with brawling, they have the stipulation that if you have a cyber arm for brawling, which is brute strength, you can do 2d6 damage. Martial arts specifically is body 5 or 6. And then you have 7 to 10 for 3d6 damage, and then 11 or higher for 4d6 damage. And what this does is you are going to be using specific martial arts forms. Your martial arts skills isn't just martial arts. It is one of 4 martial arts that are noted in the book. This includes Aikido, Karate, Taekwondo, and Judo. And each one has special moves. All of them share the ability for you to get up with a DV13 martial arts check as half of your move action instead of a full move action to get up. Or, the get up action doesn't even cost an action. I'm sorry, I got my game systems mixed up there. Aikido, you're going to be dealing a lot more in getting stuff out of people's hands. And you're also going to want brawling when you're using Aikido. So that way you get a really, really good iron grip ability to hang on to somebody. And the best part is Aikido makes it harder and harder for someone to get out of a grapple. Karate is going to be very much more about breaking bones and breaking armor. It's very, very destructive, very, very good if you are looking to be a hammer and everyone else is a nail. Judo, you are going to be able to deal with people attacking you, including if somebody just tries to attack you and they miss last round. Next time they try to attack, well, you get to throw them. And they're also fantastic at getting out of grapples as well. Then we got Taekwondo, which is going to be very much more working on pressure points, and this does cause the ability for someone to have a spinal injury or a brain injury in that case. Or you can use flying kick with Taekwondo and send someone flying backwards, and you can also knock people off of motorcycles doing that. So, my reason that I'm bringing all this up is because melee combat it carries such a certain weight about it in Cyberpunk that you should never sneeze at it. You should always be afraid of somebody who is showing up to a gunfight with no guns. That person is likely going to ruin your day. For example, I've had players that they specifically go into dealing in melee weapons that pretty much they can sweep an entire area, because with melee combat you gotta also be good at evasion, and of course the reflex 8 just helps with avoiding gunfire as well. That you turn into an absolute combat monster. Martial arts is considered a difficult skill, and martial arts can also ignore half armor like melee weapons. However, melee weapons instead of having to spend a ton of IP to ignore half SP, you spend a few eddies, and then boom, for $100 you can ignore half SP. And in some cases, also use it to poison people. So, you might be wondering now, Diamond, which one works best for me? So, as a quick recap to finish off the video here. With Brawling is very much more if you want to be a brute force fighter, where it's very much traditional street fighting, alongside being able to take stuff out of people's hands and choke people out. That is where Brawling comes into play. Martial Arts is if you want a much more skilled form of combat that has a few extra perks to it. However, you're still going to need Brawling in order to grapple for some of these groupings. Martial Arts ignores half SP, has special moves that do provoke either critical injuries or other special effects during a fight. And finally, we look over to melee weapons, which melee weapons have, for the certain price, you can do a lot of damage against half SP, or if you spend an extra amount of money, you just completely ignore armor. For example, there is the Kendachi Mono 3 Katana, which is from the core rulebook. That just, if you could even be wearing light armor jack and it cuts through your armor like butter. It doesn't care that your armor is there. Now, you might also be wondering, how else does this help me? This has been talk that's happened in the Cyberpunk Red community. It has always been determined that if your opponent has not detected you, you get an automatic free hit. So, for you stealth fighters who want to use melee weapons, especially if you decide to get a very heavy melee weapon, you sneak up on some poor unsuspecting guard who might just be wearing a Kevlar cap, and you have a weapon that ignores 7 SP. Well, you don't even have to roll the attack roll. Just roll damage. And sometimes, like for me, I rule it that, if a person has not noticed you long enough, they're going to be dead. They'll just be dead, unless there is a good reason this person cannot die from that. So, at the end of the day, for those of you guys who are interested in a melee variant of combat, go check this out. Take some time to look around. Black Chrome has got some great weapons, and all sorts of other content out there with the Cyberpunk Red free DLCs. It's included in there. So, on that note, be safe out there. I hope you guys have a great time, and I will see you guys out on the street. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.